Every morning the battle begins before the sun has even fully risen. It is not a battle fought with swords or shields, but one waged inside the mind. Distraction lurks at every corner, waiting like a thief in the shadows, eager to steal your most precious possession, your attention. The world today demands your focus, yet constantly conspires to tear it away. You check your phone for 1 second and lose half an hour. You sit to work on something important, but find your thoughts drifting into useless worries. You start with clarity, but by the time you reach midday, you feel drained, scattered, and unable to keep your mind steady on one single thing. The Stoics knew this enemy well. Their age did not have glowing screens or endless feeds, but it had the same timeless enemy, the restless, undisciplined mind. And they learned that if a person cannot rule his own mind, then he will be ruled by everything around him. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself at dawn, "Today I will meet with distraction, with interference, with people trying to drag me away from what matters." But he would not allow his mind to become a slave. His practice was simple yet powerful. Focus only on what is within your control. Imagine 2 circles in front of you. One contains everything you can influence, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. The other contains everything outside your influence, the opinions of others, the outcomes of fortune, the events written by fate. Most people spend their entire lives with their eyes fixed on the second circle. They obsess over what might happen tomorrow, over whether others approve, over things they can never touch. Their energy scatters, their attention shatters, and their focus bleeds out like water through broken hands. But the Stoic does the opposite. He ruthlessly turns his attention back to the first circle, again and again, like a warrior pulling his sword back to the target. He reminds himself, this I can do, this I can shape, this I can improve. The rest is noise, the rest is nothing. This is the first habit for laser focus. It begins every morning with a small, deliberate pause. Before the chaos of the day floods in, sit with yourself and separate the controllable from the uncontrollable. Do not let the waves of life toss you blindly. Choose what is yours to carry and release the rest. When you free your mind from the burden of what is not yours, you create space, clear, sharp space for what is. And in that space, focus grows naturally. Think about the archer. If he spends his time worrying about the wind, about whether the target is too far, about whether others will mock his aim, he will never even draw the bow. But if he steadies his mind only on the act of pulling the string, feeling the tension, aligning his body, then he finds peace even before the arrow flies. The Stoic teaches himself to be that archer. The target is life, the arrow is action. And this habit, though it sounds simple, demands daily practice. It is not enough to say it once. The mind will drift again and again like a horse that refuses to stay still. So the Stoic trains it with discipline. Every time he notices himself lost in the uncontrollable, wondering if others respect him, fearing whether tomorrow will be kind, resenting a past that cannot be undone, he pulls the reins back. No, this is not mine. Let it go. And suddenly the mind returns to the road before him, clear and sharp. Laser focus is not achieved by forcing the mind to stare harder. It is achieved by removing what does not belong there in the first place. Just as a sculptor does not create a statue by adding more stone, but by chipping away what is unnecessary, so too the Stoic sculpts his attention by removing distraction. And the greatest distraction of all is the obsession with what cannot be controlled. Imagine how much focus is wasted on arguments that lead nowhere, on regrets that cannot be changed, on fears of events that may never even happen. Entire lives are lost this way. But when you cut all of that away, what remains is a mind like a beam of light, direct and undivided. So begin with this first habit. Each morning ask yourself, what today belongs to me? What belongs to fate? Write it down if you must. Keep it close. And throughout the day, when you feel your focus slipping, return to that truth. Your power lies in this very moment, in this very choice, in this very action. The rest is smoke, and the Stoic does not chase smoke. He walks forward with steady steps, eyes fixed only on the ground he can touch. This is how focus is built, one clear decision at a time, until the mind becomes unshakable, and life itself bends to your will. The greatest thief of focus is not the outside world. It is the noise inside your own mind. The Stoics knew this, and that is why they trained themselves in the art of silence. Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence of an undisturbed mind. You may close the door and sit alone, yet still be surrounded by chaos, because your thoughts race, collide, and demand your attention like unruly children. One moment you are working, the next you are replaying an insult, then worrying about the future, then fantasizing about success. Your mind is everywhere but here, and when your mind is everywhere, it is nowhere. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." He was not speaking of travel or physical space, but of the spirit scattered in 1,000 directions. A person who cannot remain with himself for even a few moments will never build laser focus. The Stoics practiced returning again and again to the present moment. They called it living according to nature, because nature does not live in tomorrow, nor in yesterday. The tree does not rush to grow nor regret that winter has come. It simply stands, rooted in this very moment. The Stoic trains his mind to be like that tree, rooted deeply, unmoved by the passing winds of distraction. This is the second habit. Guard your attention by creating moments of inner stillness throughout the day. Do not think of stillness as the absence of activity. You can be busy and still be still. A craftsman chiseling a stone, a writer forming a sentence, a soldier sharpening his blade. Each is surrounded by noise, yet within them there is silence, because their attention is whole, complete, undivided. Focus is not the elimination of movement. It is the concentration of movement in a single direction. To build this habit, begin by catching yourself in the act of scattering. You sit to complete a task but notice your hand reaching for the phone. You try to read, but your mind begins replaying yesterday's mistakes. The Stoic does not judge himself harshly when this happens. He simply notices and gently but firmly pulls his attention back, like a master returning a wild horse to its path, again and again until the horse learns discipline. This is what Marcus Aurelius practiced when he wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The strength he speaks of is the strength of focus, the ability to stand still in a storm, to return again and again to the present task without letting the waves of distraction wash you away. Imagine a candle burning in a dark room. If the flame is strong, even when the wind enters, it flickers but does not die. That is the mind of a Stoic. But if the flame is weak, the smallest breath extinguishes it. Focus is that flame, and silence is the shelter that protects it. Modern life is designed to keep you unfocused. Notifications, messages, endless streams of information. They are the new invasions of Rome. But just as the Stoics did not surrender their minds to the noise of the crowd, you must not surrender yours to the noise of technology. Create pockets of stillness. Turn off what you do not need. Step away from what does not serve. Take even a few minutes to sit, breathe, and return to yourself. In those moments, you will feel the sharpness of your mind returning, like a blade being polished after long neglect. Laser focus does not mean forcing yourself to concentrate until you are exhausted. It means learning to clear the clutter so that your mind naturally rests on what matters. Just as water, when calm, reflects everything clearly, so too does the mind, when still, reflect truth and clarity. But when disturbed, the water cannot show anything but distortion. The Stoics trained daily to keep their inner waters calm, so their focus could remain unbroken. Do not underestimate the power of these small pauses. A minute of silence before beginning your work can set the tone for the entire day. A breath taken when you feel overwhelmed can prevent hours of wasted worry. A deliberate return to the present can save you from drifting into 1,000 empty roads. The Stoics practiced these pauses not once but continuously, until their minds were trained to return home to the present moment without effort. This is the daily fix for distraction. Return, return, return. And slowly something remarkable happens. You realize that the noise around you does not command you anymore. People may shout, the world may rush. Technology may scream for your attention. But inside you, there's a quiet place untouched by all of it. From that quiet place, your focus becomes like a beam of light, steady, unwavering, directed entirely at the task before you. This is how the Stoic builds laser focus, not by controlling the world, but by mastering himself. There is one more enemy of focus that is more dangerous than noise and more powerful than distraction. It is the weakness within, the mind that refuses discipline, the spirit that runs wherever desire pulls it. Many people dream of focus, but they treat their minds like spoiled children, giving them whatever they want at every moment. The child wants entertainment, they obey. The child wants comfort, they obey. The child wants to escape hard work, they obey. And slowly, without realizing it, their attention becomes fragile, soft, unable to endure the smallest difficulty. The Stoics understood that if you want your mind to become sharp like a sword, you must be willing to forge it in fire. Discipline is the fire and habit is the hammer. Without them, focus is impossible. Epictetus, once a slave, knew this truth better than most. He had no freedom of body, yet his mind was unshakable. He taught that freedom is not given by masters but earned through self-discipline. The man who cannot command his own attention is more of a slave than the one bound in chains. The Stoic builds focus by training himself to do what must be done, whether he feels like it or not. Each small act of discipline strengthens the mind's ability to hold steady. Each time you resist the pull of distraction, you build muscle for concentration. Each time you finish a task you wanted to avoid, you forge another link in the chain of unbreakable focus. This is the third habit. Train your focus through deliberate acts of discipline, even in the smallest things. When you rise in the morning, do not immediately indulge in comfort. Sit, breathe, and begin with purpose. When you feel the urge to check something meaningless, resist even for a few minutes. When you are tired, do not collapse into idleness. Pause, but return to the task with calm determination. These are small battles, but each one matters. For the mind learns by repetition, and what you repeat becomes who you are. If you repeat distraction, you become scattered. If you repeat discipline, you become focused. Imagine a soldier sharpening his blade. He does not sharpen it once and expect it to remain sharp forever. Each day before battle, he runs the stone across the edge, removing dullness, restoring strength. Focus works the same way. It must be trained daily or it weakens. The Stoics treated every day as training for the mind, preparing for life's battles. They understood that if you cannot focus in ordinary tasks, you will not focus in great challenges. The man who cannot control his attention while reading a page will never control his courage in the face of death. The small disciplines prepare you for the great ones. And yet discipline is not harshness. The Stoic is not a cruel master beating himself into submission. He is a wise guide, directing his energy where it matters most. He knows that comfort is sweet, but too much of it rots the soul. He knows that ease feels good, but it breeds weakness, so he deliberately chooses difficulty when it sharpens him. He seeks challenge not because it is pleasant, but because it strengthens his focus. Just as the athlete lifts weight to build muscle, the Stoic lifts burdens to build resilience. One simple practice is to set clear limits for your attention. Decide what deserves your focus each day and cut away everything else. Most people drown not because they face too much work, but because they scatter themselves on too many things. Their mind jumps from task to task, leaving each one half finished, never giving full attention to any. The Stoic chooses differently.
He selects what matters most, begins it with discipline,
and sees it through to completion. This is laser focus, not doing everything, but doing the essential with full presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Concentrate every minute on doing what is in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice." This was his reminder that focus is built minute by minute, task by task. To live this way requires discipline, because the mind constantly seeks escape. But every time you return it to the present task, you carve strength into your spirit. Over time, distraction loses its power, and discipline becomes natural, like breathing. This habit may feel difficult at first, but difficulty is the training ground of greatness. The Stoics embraced hardship not as punishment, but as practice. When life denied them comfort, they thanked it, because each test made them stronger. When life tried to scatter their focus, they used it as another chance to train their attention. In this way, even the storms of fate became tools for building unshakable concentration. Laser focus, then, is not a gift. It is not something that comes by luck or by inspiration. It is the product of daily choices, of small disciplines repeated with patience, of a mind that refuses to bow to comfort and chaos. The Stoic builds it brick by brick, until his attention becomes a fortress no distraction can breach. And so when you find yourself struggling to focus, do not curse the struggle. See it as an opportunity to train. Each distraction resisted is a victory. Each task completed with presence is a step toward mastery. Each act of discipline strengthens the flame within you until it burns so brightly that no storm can extinguish it. This is the final truth. Focus is freedom. The man who controls his attention controls his life. The Stoic understood this, and so he built habits not to impress the world, but to master himself. For once you have mastered your focus, there comes a moment when a person asks himself why focus even matters. What is the point of building laser attention? of resisting distractions, of practicing silence and discipline? The answer is simple, yet it carries the weight of an entire life. Because without focus, you cannot live fully. A scattered mind is a wasted life. Hours dissolve, days disappear, years pass, and nothing of substance is built. The Stoics knew that time is the most precious resource, more valuable than wealth, more fragile than health, more fleeting than fame. Seneca warned that people guard their money with iron locks, yet squander their time as if it were endless. But time is not endless. Each moment that slips through your fingers is gone forever. And if you do not learn to focus, you will spend your life chasing smoke while the fire of your days burns out. This is why the final habit of the Stoics was the practice of presence, not just being still, not just being disciplined, but being entirely alive in whatever you are doing. Presence is the perfection of focus. It is the state where mind, body, and action become one. A person who is present is not half here, thinking of elsewhere. He is not pretending to listen while planning his reply. He is not working while daydreaming of rest. He is fully engaged in the moment, whether it is great or small. Washing a cup, speaking to a friend, writing a sentence, facing death itself. The Stoic trains himself to be completely present. And in that presence, life itself becomes sharp, meaningful, real. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, do every act of your life as though it were the last. Not because he was obsessed with death, but because he understood that presence transforms even the smallest actions into sacred ones. Imagine living this way. Each task done with full attention, each word spoken with care, each breath noticed, each step deliberate. Would distraction stand a chance against such awareness? Would regret survive when each moment is lived fully? No, presence kills both distraction and regret, because it roots you in the only place life truly exists, now. But presence is not easy. The human mind constantly flees from the present moment. It runs backward into memory, replaying mistakes, chewing old wounds, or it leaps forward into imagination, worrying about outcomes, fantasizing about pleasures. Rarely does it rest here. The Stoic habit is to notice this fleeing, and to bring the mind back, again and again, to the present. Epictetus compared it to a watchman on duty, his eyes scanning, alert, always returning his attention to the task at hand. Presence is vigilance. It is a discipline of returning, of refusing to let the mind wander into places where life cannot be lived. And what happens when you master presence? Your focus becomes effortless. You no longer force yourself to concentrate. You simply are concentrated. You no longer battle distraction endlessly. You outgrow it. The mind, once wild, becomes tamed. The flame, once flickering, becomes steady. Life itself slows down, and in that slowing you see more clearly than others. The noise of the world fades, and what remains is truth, what matters, what does not, what deserves your energy, what must be left to fate. The presence of a Stoic is not cold or detached. It is alive, burning with clarity. When he speaks, his words carry weight because his mind is there in full. When he works, his actions are precise because he is not divided. When he loves completely, without distraction because his attention is undivided. This is why the Stoic life shines with power. It is not that they live longer. It is that they live more in every moment given to them. The practice of presence can begin small. The next time you eat, do not eat while scrolling, while worrying, while rushing. Eat with your full mind. Taste each bite. The next time you work, shut everything else and give your mind fully to the task. The next time you listen to someone, put away distraction and listen with your whole being. These moments, repeated daily, carve a new path in the mind. Slowly, presence becomes natural. And as presence grows, so does focus, because the two are the same. Laser focus is not just a tool for work. It is a way of life. It is the difference between existing and truly living. Without focus, you drift. With focus, you direct. Without focus, you are a prisoner of noise. With focus, you are master of yourself. The Stoics built their philosophy on this foundation, that freedom comes not from the outside, but from mastery of the inside. And the highest mastery of all is presence, the ability to fully hold this moment in your hands and not let it slip away. So let this be your final habit. Each day, return to the present as if it were sacred. Live as if each action were your last. Let your attention not scatter into yesterday or tomorrow, but remain here sharp and whole. In that state, your life becomes a single beam of clarity, cutting through the fog of distraction, illuminating the road ahead.